The Mueller report was released weeks ago, and we've still yet to hear anything directly from the man behind it, Robert Mueller. And at this point, when it comes to his investigation, when it comes to his conclusions, there is no guarantee that we're ever going to find out what he actually thinks. And we're finding out a little bit more, possibly, about why he has been so hesitant to actually appear in public and speak about this. Two people familiar with the matter said that the Justice Department is deferring to Mueller, who would like for any discussions beyond the public contents of his report to be conducted in private. But another person said it is primarily the department, rather than Mueller himself, resisting a nationally televised hearing. Representative Jerry Nadler has said he envisions himself correctly as a man of great rectitude and apolitical, and he doesn't want to participate in anything that he might regard as a political spectacle. And that is why some of the whispers leaking out are that he might want to testify, but it will be behind closed doors.
Yeah, it's totally unacceptable. And so I haven't criticized Mueller before. Some people said, oh, he should have done this or that. Well, look, he thinks the current sitting president can't be indicted. So he believes, and it is his genuine opinion, that is why the Justice Department cannot act. He did say that Congress should take up the matter of obstruction of justice, which he laid out 10 different instances of that were very, very clear. So I didn't mind any of that. I did mind him thinking that his remit was so tiny that looking into Trump's business ties with the Russians would be outside of the scope. Well, then why do you think he obstructed justice? So I think that he made a mistake there, but it's not because he has bad intent. We're not like the Republicans. We don't think like Mueller is like secretly this or secretly that. He doesn't have 18 angry Republicans working on the case, etc. It was an understandable decision, but one I think that did great damage because then you don't know what was motivating Trump. Okay, but now we have a very significant problem. He's saying my reputation is more important than the American people finding out what Trump actually did. And that's unacceptable. So if he goes in front of TV cameras and testifies, it will be much more impactful because then people can see it with their own eyes. Now, for a couple of reasons. One, let's keep it real. Nobody read the Mueller report. A handful of people read it. Every person who read it was like, oh my God, Mueller really thinks he's guilty. But it's 400 some odd pages. There's like a discussion of whether the Congress people read. Do you have any idea how lazy Congress people are? I'd be surprised. Like some people, Jamie Raskin, who's a congressman who did read the report, said he'd be surprised if 1% of Americans read the report. I'd be surprised if 1% of Congress read the report. There's no way in the world 1% of Americans, over 3 million people read over 400 pages of that report. No way, no way. And now the second giant problem with Mueller wanting to do it behind closed doors because, oh, he's too good for politics. And even though he's not being political, they're gonna charge him with being political and it's gonna be a spectacle. And he's just way too proper for spectacles. Is if you do it behind closed doors, what's gonna prevent the Republicans from lying about what you said again?
Yeah.
Now for the third time, nothing. So that we won't actually know what you said at all, and we'll be back to he said, she said, and you'll have clarified absolutely nothing.
And that's really the problem. The problem isn't that nobody involved is saying anything, it's that people are saying stuff, just not Robert Mueller. William Barr, he's talking up a storm, and he has been for literally weeks. And as a demonstration of the issue and what Mueller could possibly fix if he were to talk is, you said a few minutes ago that the only reason that Mueller didn't indict the president is because of that Justice Department memo. But Barr says that was not the thing that was stopping Mueller from doing it. But is that true? Who knows? Robert Mueller hasn't said. Only William Barr, a guy who seems incredibly dishonest, and that's been well established in the way that he's communicated about the report before and after it being released. We have to take his word for it, I guess, at this point, and we won't know until Robert Mueller finally testifies, if that ever happens.
And if it's on camera, not only will more people actually finally see it for the first time, but it's more impactful, it's more powerful. I know when I was on cable news, all the producers were obsessed with, is it on video, is it on video? If it's not on video, who cares? And so news shouldn't operate that way, but it often does operate that way, and people often, unfortunately, operate that way.
Yeah.
So he is being incredibly selfish here. Oh, please, I don't want my reputation at the country club to be impaired in any way, shape, or form. And what will my reputation be? Yeah, like, with all due respect, who cares? What's at stake here is, in a lot of ways, the republic. So one, are we gonna have rule of law or not? Are you going to clarify what you said and so that the American people have a sense of the gravity of the crimes of the president? And then secondly, he's playing by old rules that don't exist now because of Donald Trump, and he does not understand the gravity of the problem. So he thinks like, what, I'm just doing what is normally done. Does it look like the Trump people are doing what's normally done? No, Barr lied about your report through and through. You thought he wouldn't. You were like, no, of course. The Attorney General will follow decorum. And we know now because of Mueller's team saying, oh my God, they couldn't believe that he didn't tell what was actually in the report.
Yeah.
Well then, wakey, when are you gonna get it through your thick skull that Republicans are not like they used to be, because Mueller's a Republican. And so Mueller probably thinks like, oh, Bob Dole would have never done that. Neither would Richard Lugar. Where's decorum, right? Well, there is no decorum, it's gone. One side says, Trump talked about people who cooperate with federal investigators, that should now be illegal. Remember when he said that?
Called them rats.
Yeah, he called them rats, and he said you shouldn't cooperate with law enforcement. You think that guy has any sense of what is right and wrong? Meanwhile, while you're going and playing, by the Queensberry rules, he's destroying democracy. And when you lay down, you allow him to destroy democracy, and you're doing it because of what you consider to be your beloved reputation. Yeah. Well, it's not time for that. It's time for men of principle to act as patriots, and that is not what Mueller is doing right now. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.